Hey everyone, I'm Clayfact, and thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to make a February piglet. But we are not just going to make any sort of piglet, no. We are going to make a Piglet Cupid because it's the month of love. So you might even call it a Q-Pig lamp. Yeah, it's going to be a lamp. So let's get started, shall we? I start the armature a little bit different because I want the sculpture to be a little bit different. I want the pig to stand on a cloud while aiming his bow, waiting to shoot somebody, so to speak. So first we are going to make the cloud with the lights, and then we are going to make the piglet. So after I've tested the lights works, I cut off the battery pack because battery packs don't do well in ovens. Before I start with the cloud. When that is done, I make the cloud base, and I do that by using translucent clay before I gently tuck the light string around and supply with some clay until it looks like a cloud. I will say that I really dislike working with this sort of clay because it's just so horrible at holding its shape and it feels like it's floating out, so to speak. So it's quite difficult to make any kind of shape in it. So I'm not the biggest fan of it, but again, the result speaks for itself, so I'll probably use it again, but not the best clay to work with, let me tell you. With the cloud baked and hardened, I can finally start on the piglet and use the clay that I actually adore using Super Sculpey. As always, I'm making the torso before I move on to his legs. And while I'm doing that, let me tell you a little more about Q-Pig. Now, no one knows in the Piglet pack if his small arrows actually bring love or just mild annoyance. But Q-Pig, or also called Lorens, really enjoys shooting those things, even though his aim is sort of wonky at best. He never shoots one of his siblings though, always strangers on the streets. And some of them actually get together, and some of them don't, which leave Lorens, or Q-Pig, to be one of the most mysterious piglets of the Piglet pack. And that's a little bit about Q-Pig's backstory. Back to the sculpture. After I had finished his legs, I moved on to make a caboose that he could be proud of. Smoothing it in and make it plump and round before I move on to the bow and arrow. And you see with the legs and the bow and arrow that I'm using cosplay, and the reason for that is because I was afraid that the sculpture would break being in this fragile position that this little piglet is in. So I'm using cosplay to hope that it can give a little, so to speak. And while I'm making Q-Pig's weapon of choice, I would like to take a moment to thank everyone who has commented, liked, subscribed. It really means a lot to me, you guys. Thank you so much. And encourage everyone who hasn't done so to do so. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. It really helped this channel out and it really means a lot to me. Anyway, back to the sculpture. Here you see me making his wings because a Cupid pig with respect for himself needs a set of wings. So I guess this is the day we make the pigs fly. I simply fold the cosplay around the armature before I cut the wings out and texture them, giving them some feathers before I move on to the arms. Now the arms were especially difficult for me because I needed to hold a bow and hold it sort of realistically. And me, who has never sculpted an archer or a bow before, didn't know what I was doing, so I kept testing if the bow could fit with the arms and the arms could fit with the bow before I bulked up the arms. And after about 1,000 fittings, I could finally move on to place the wings. This sculpture was very difficult for me to make because I had never made anything like a CU-PIG lamp before, and there isn't much of any reference on the internet, so I totally freestyled this one. But I took my time, and you can see it really pays off at the end. By the way, I also poked some holes in the arms and in the bow so I could string it later on, because of course the bow needs strings. But what good is a lovesick archer without a head? That's what you see me making here. And I simply make a bowl before I poke some holes in, and then place some pre-baked eyes in it. Before I moved on to the rest of the face. Now even here I did something that I have never tried before, because I wanted it to look like the pig was aiming. So I needed the eye to squint, I think it's called. And I've never made one closed eye and one opened, so that was pretty difficult for me too. But it's all a learning process, isn't it? That is also why you see me bulking the face out a bit more on the other side, because I really want that squinting effect, I think it's called. I don't know. I just think it looked good. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't mean it's defect, it just means it's clayfect. And with every detail I put on this little piglet's head, the more and more satisfied I became with the expression that it had. And I'm actually pretty proud of how it turned out. Plus, it's going to be a lamp. Now you have to admit that is pretty cool. I don't know if it was a lamp I would want per se, but this little piglet is for my mom, and she's obsessed with pigs, so I think she's going to love it. I mean, how many mothers can say that their daughter made them a flying piglet lamp? Oh god. Anyway, with the ears done and shaped, all that was left to do was place the head on the body and blend the head to the body before we baked it, and then I started with the airbrushing again. Now, those who have watched me before knows that I'm definitely not good friends with my airbrush. I actually end up removing pretty much all of the paint on the cloud, but I still keep trying, and I still try to learn that thing. I did though come with a little sigh of relief when I moved on to painting the wings white and started with my Piglet pink. Before I moved on playing with some gold colors. Both the bow and some of the arrow got a solid gold color, and of course the little heart tip had to be red. This whole time while I was painting, I was dreading if I could glue the bow and the arrow on and if it was going to work. But I had no way of knowing until I tried it, and I couldn't try it until the pig was painted. And the same went for the lights. So I had no clue if this was going to be a bust or if it was going to work until the very end. It was quite nerve-wracking. But at least the colors on this little piglet was quite simple. So I painted the last details before I moved on and removed the colors from the cloud again. Because I didn't like it, and I was also afraid that the lights were going to be covered up. After the painting finally was done, I glued it before I stringed it with a needle, as you see me doing here, before I gave it some extra glue to keep it in place. And with his bowstring all done, he is all done, and that is it for the sculpture and it for this video. I am really happy how he turned out, and I hope you like little CU-PIG too. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. And if you can't wait until next week, why not click on the Scratch to White, where there's another little monthly piglet waiting to meet you. Until then, bye!